Hey, the multi-streaming server just worked. First try this time. That's always nice. Okay, everything's muted correctly. Alright, so today what we are working on is extending what we did last stream, not yesterday. It's been a few days since the last stream. But yeah, so in the last stream what we did was we got constant expression evaluation stuff working. In the static analyzer instead of only in the compiler step. So we're now able to parse out individual expressions rather than just entire function calls. And what this means, now that we can do that, is that we can make it so some templates are able to take an actual expression as an argument. So that's what we're going to work on this time. So, first step, let's check what I was doing with the grammar. Because I remember I wanted to change it. So we're going to change type from just plain type to type ID. So it has to be this or a actually what I could do no, we'll keep it the same way it is. Just do type. Call it expression type, just like that. Now, theoretically, if this works how I would expect, let's just throw it in here. Template test. exists. We can see the grammar, no error. There should be errors. Unless it's using this as a type. It's probably using it as a type, which would already confirm that it's working. Yeah, type, script ID, ID type. So if I put const here, yeah, it's using them as a type. So in here I could just like say int p, but if I say type ID, you can see now it just kind of simplifies itself. And it does recognize that that is in fact a type ID. Which means we need to change all of these to just type ID. For our tests to continue working. And then let's fix whatever would have broken in here. Did nothing break? Ah, there we go. Show error. No error. Why no error? Oh, it's because we aren't checking the type ever. Well, because it was only one type before. So that makes more sense. So we need to change the type. By default, it is a type def argument. If context is type ID, we do either this, that, throw in an else if is, well, if expression type Then, let's see. We also need to assert that isPack is false. If context is pack. Good enough. Say this is a okay. I'm gonna call this a value. Actually, then instead of our expected type, we're gonna call this value type. This is going to be equal to hello. Right now we are working on the scripting language that I'm working on for my game engine. The particular feature we're currently adding is the ability to have types as template arguments. Well, not types, expressions as template arguments instead of just types. So like right now we support types as template or generic arguments, whatever you want to call it, but you also want to be able to do expressions like, say, 1. So if we ever want to make something like a tuple data structure inside the scripting language, we would need something like that. So that's what we're currently working on. Right now the stage we're at is changing the way we define the definitions of them and how we store that, and then we'll move on to the actual implementation. In my last stream, we already got compile time evaluation of constant expressions, so we don't need to worry about like being able to do stuff like that. We can actually do stuff like that, so that's nice. But yeah. I'm just not wearing it right now. I mean, I could wear it. Alright, fine. I'll put the Tron robe on. There we go. Just plug it in. Where's the cord? There we go. It's over the headphones cable. There we go. And we're back. Nice. It will take a while, but if you're dedicated to it and you just do it for the most important thing is when you're learning to code, if you want to get really good, is just learn for the love of learning. From this, we're returning a... Hey, Square Peg, how's it going? Returning value context. That's good. Just hoping to get some stuff done before D&D tonight. Figured I had enough time. Since this one shouldn't take too long. Yeah. You know, we got the cable set up for the VR headset. So it is very much the Tron vibe. What was I doing? Right. So we now have all of that set up. So we have to... Okay, this is just the definition, and now... Whether player 1, Tron, SAO, whichever depiction of VR media you want to go with. Hopefully we can make that all real. At least that's the goal. Minus the mass death. That should probably be avoided. In SAO's case. Arg, pack expansion arg. So I'm gonna rename this. To value arg context. Was I using this for anything before? Because it looks fleshed out. Hopefully I'm not. Okay, that's all there. Oh, this is Brane Parser. Okay. That's for the parser. It's not even the same class. Right. Why is that on the same line? I am at the moment. My job when I'm not making my own engine is a startup called Spatial Ape. I'm one of the main devs working on. It's essentially a Unity template / library for making multiplayer VR experiences. Not released yet, but we're planning to have our first release sometime late next month, I believe. Oh, sorry, SquarePeg. I was talking to the people on Twitch, since I actually got the multi-streaming working. But for SquarePeg back in Unity chat, I'm making my own engine partially because I want to. It's just mainly because I want to. If I'm being completely honest. But I mean, there's a couple other reasons, but they are slipping my mind at the moment, so I'm going to just go with the because I want to. What was I doing? Oh, right. Actually instantiating this. Okay, so that's how we're handling this. Right now I'm working on a PC running Ubuntu 2022, I believe. So Linux. But I'm making sure it builds on Windows as well. And hopefully it will build on Android eventually. I need to start actually testing for that to see what things I would need to change in the build pipeline. Because I'm planning for that eventually. Where is value? It's not anywhere. So where's it being generated? Oh, did I accidentally rename it? I did. That's funny. Oh, hello. Yeah, I decided to start multi-streaming again because discoverability, strangely enough, seems to be a lot better on Twitch for coding type content. But then I can still stream to YouTube to have the VOD saved indefinitely. So that's kind of my thought process behind that. Okay, so the problem we're having here, that I built this around the thought that only that types would be the only thing we input to arguments and not expressions. So I wanted that, just get that working. So let's see where we call this. In get identifier context. And side of resolve function call as well. Okay, that about tracks. So I think we need to make a data structure for template arguments. Do I ever even use these? populate template arguments. Right, okay, yeah. So we have a list of value context arguments. Why don't I just pass the raw context into here? Like, we could just pass in... like that. And then we could just parse through this manually. So let's find where this function is called. Okay, it's because we... Right. So we do need a place to hold stuff in the meantime. Do I not have a template node anymore? I feel like I did. Oh wait, is this just in the static analyzer now, since I have it local to whatever? I think it is. At the plan to monetize. It's like I'm not getting any money yet from this at the moment, except for like Patreon and whatnot. In the future, well, for one, I plan to make my own games with it, and then monetize those games. The other thing is, since this, well, is an engine that theoretically would eventually be able to, well, load stuff at runtime. So as you're like walking through an environment, you know, what's over the next hill loads in as you crest the hill. The real vision that inspired building the engine was the idea of something like a subway system between worlds sort of thing. On the back end, you know, it'd just be like a search engine on the back end, but there's a lot of behind the scenes engine stuff needed to actually get something like that working, where you can like take this subway system into, say, like the hub world for an MMO and see like that MMO load in outside the windows of that subway car. And then just to be able to take that subway without any loading screens to a different hosted world within the engine. So my idea is that would be like another service that I could provide within the engine, something like that. So like add posters on the walls of the subway car or whatever. So it's like part of the environment as the experience and whatnot. Managed hosting as well is another idea I had. So it's like all services around the engine, but not monetizing the engine itself. It's my eventual plan for that. Where was I? All right, template handle. So this is where we have the definition of arguments. Okay, for instantiation, how do we want to handle it? Actually I should probably start doing this. Fups in YouTube chat asks, any plans for VR in the future? And this is intended to be a VR engine. That's one of the main reasons why I'm building it from scratch, is just because I want to be able to optimize it enough to be able to run VR stuff. But, so in short, yes. Maybe? Not so sure. We'll see, like, everybody's been talking about Apple entering the space, like, oh, when Apple enters the VR space, you know, this will happen or this will happen. In my experience, usually predictions are wrong, so I just don't really make them too often. Predictions being right is very much like a guessing game and luck, so we will see what happens when Apple enters the VR space, if they do. We're pretty sure they are. All the leaks have been saying, like, they're definitely working on something. Probably more in the AR space, since that's where they're going to be focused in productivity and whatnot, rather than gaming. So I don't feel like they would open any opportunities for me particularly, since I'm much more focused on like the VR gaming side of things, not so much AR. Okay, I need to regroup and figure out what I am actually trying to do at this very moment. So right now we're trying to figure out, how do we read the template arguments from an instance and then transport those all the way to where we instantiate, well, first find and then instantiate a template. So this was the way that we were returning the template arguments before. So we need a different way of doing that. So one is in get template instance, which is how we instantiate structs, I believe. No, this is just how we instantiate stuff in general. So this is the one that we want to look at. Populate template arguments. What was I doing here again? Is this where it is. I mean, we could just pass through the argument pointer through everything. Because where do we call get template instance from? We call it from functions, and we call it from instantiating variables. So yeah, when we get an identifier context, so when we grab a variable, and then also when we do functions. And then scoped ID context. Are function arguments a part of scoped ID? Okay, they are. So that means, yeah, our template right here, visit template arguments. We theoretically could just pass these into get template instance like that. And then it returns a document context for the generated version. So we just take this entire function out of use. Kind of just work around it. Refactor this. All right, 1 second. So apparently D&D has been moved up, and I had absolutely no idea about it. And there's nothing in our shared Discord about it at the moment. So I'm gonna go figure this out, and we'll see if I continue streaming again later. But for now, I think, yeah, I don't know what's